Your heart is the support system for every organ in your body. The brain can't function without the heart pumping. The liver can't quiver when the heart has no rhythm. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your heart. Matters of the Heart podcast is a safe space for you to face the true matters of your heart. The issues that causes stress, even when you're seemingly at rest. Issues like hurt, pain, betrayal, and shame are things that are buried alive in the back of the brain. I call them undiagnosed heart traumas. Others refer to them as heartbreak, when in fact it's heartache because the heart can't break. I know, sounds pretty interesting to hear, but you'll learn more as you enter in and allow the healing to begin. I'm Tasha Mayo, the execution strategist. Welcome to Matters of the Heart. Hey, welcome in to Matters of the Heart podcast. I am so ecstatic to be with you on this Thursday afternoon to talk about this discussion of mid-divorce dating. Yeah, you heard exactly what I said. Mid-divorce dating, that simply means that you have entered into a relationship with a person that is in the middle of divorce proceedings. And what that does is you rob the person the opportunity to heal because you are so readily available. And what we perceive as being chosen, we have actually been settled with because we were readily available. And so we are here today to dispel the myth of thinking that we are the exception. I'm sure all of us at some point with something may or may not be mid-divorce dating, but something where we thought that we were the exception. I wrote this post the other day because I've been seeing so many relationships with individuals that are in the midst of a divorce, some of which I had no clue of, and others I did. And the women are so willing to enter into such trauma willingly. And so I wrote a post about it the other day, simply just sharing my heart regarding it and saying, sis, that is desperate, and you are not. You are better than somebody's seconds. Okay. I'm going to say that again. You are better than somebody's seconds, but for whatever reason, we believe that we are the exception and things will be different. It won't. Whatsoever a man soweth, exactly that is what he will reap. And so if he did it to her, he will do it to you eventually. And so with that post, there was a lot of engagement, very healthy engagement. Well, one post in particular got my attention, and it's from the guest that I have that's going to be joining us shortly. And she said that I was one that thought that I was the exception and that the conversation needed to be had at a deeper level. And I so agree with her. What I loved about that is that she, first of all, took accountability for her decision and now is standing on business that it wasn't the most appropriate decision for her, right? And so I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. I'm going to introduce her to you guys. And remember, Matters of the Heart podcast is not a monologue. It is a dialogue. It's a conversation. I want you to engage. So as I bring her in, tell me, I see that some of you guys are here. Tell me where you're tuning in from and what you have to add to the conversation. If you have anything that you'd like for us to discuss or any questions that you may have for us, I want you to chime in now and let us know so we can include you in the conversation. So I'm going to add Miss Donna Huntley in now. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I am so appreciative to be here. It is Thankful Thursday for me, and I am so thankful that you created this platform to be able to allow women a voice and also an ear to hear what you have, because God has something amazing that He has placed on the inside of you, and I'm just grateful that you're sharing it. Thank you for
Yes,
having me.
amen. Likewise, likewise. I was telling them before I brought you on that what I appreciated so much that post that I made on Tuesday, I believe, it got a lot of healthy engagement. But what stood out the most for me with your post is that you took accountability and that you were standing on business in the decision that you made then, and to not make it again. First of all, for yourself and then for others, right? I love that you were so transparent in that, because transparency transforms. And we can sit in the seat of our significance and be blinded by our justifications. I'm going to say that one more time. We can sit in the seat of our significance. What I mean by that is that we are bad to the bone as women. We
Come on
are
now.
doing the daggone thing.
Come on now. Yes.
Reason. When it comes to romantic relationships, I see a lot of these same boss women settling. And so there's a disconnect there that a discussion must be had. And so when I say that you sit in the seat of your significance, you know who you are. You know who God has called you to be. You're walking in it in every other area of your life except this, because you believe that you are the exception. And that's what caught my attention with your post, is that you stated that so eloquently, so clear, so confident, and to say for others, you don't have to. Right?
Sure.
I didn't cut the trees down. You get to now stand on the stump of the tree, see my reality, so that it doesn't have to be your revelation. You don't have to go through what somebody else went through in order to understand it. And so I want you to share that, because in your message, in your response, you said that we need to go deeper in that conversation. And so I wanted to open up the floor, because it's a matter of the heart. When we justify, I tell my clients all the time, anytime something has to be justified, it's a lie. It's out of alignment. And so when we justify in our mind that I'm the exception because, we have history. History expires. Okay. What I liked at 13, I don't like at 30. Right? Okay.
Yes.
They say clock it.
Yes, clock it.
But we get so stuck on history. History of what? Right?
Yeah.
So I want you to share from where you are as it relates to what you thought was the exception for you and how that has transpired over this time.
Yeah, well, again, thank you for the opportunity, and let's go ahead and get on this ride, because it's a ride.
Come on.
And that's just real talk.
Yeah.
So anyone who knows me, and for those of you who do not know me, I am a person who lives my life completely and totally out loud. My pastor teaches that, embarrassment is a choice. So she does not do that. I don't do that. I don't embarrass. Any mistake, any loss is simply a lesson for me. So I'll start by saying that my current husband and I knew each other from teenage years, right? And so for whatever reason, he and I separated, and then we both married other people. So the specific person in the specific case that I was talking about is literally regarding my second husband.
Okay.
Right? So clock that.
Yeah.
The first husband, I did not know that I was dating him while he was still married. That was a lie. And so for me, that absolved me of that, because I literally did not know.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
So that's put to the side. And so for those women who have found themselves in that position, but they were ignorant to the exact facts of the situation that they were entering into, that's not your cross to bear. It's simply not. Now, how you deal with that after you find out is something totally different. But in the beginning, that's not your cross to bear. In this particular situation, because he and I had so much history, I'm talking 17 years old. Believe it or not on a street corner. You feel me? A street corner in Harlem, New York.
Yeah.
A street corner. And when we separated, like I say, we married other people, we found ourselves divorcing at the exact same time. Mm-hmm. Divorcing. Both situations, according to us, was completely and totally over. I can say definitively for me, it was absolutely over. Already moved out of the house. I'm trying to chase him down to try to get him to sign the paperwork. Like, dude, come on, you don't want this no more. Just be out. Like, come on, let's just get it.
Yeah, I'm gonna interject right there for one second, Donna, because you said something very important that should not be rolled over. You said that we both was coming out of relationship, a marriage at the same time.
Yep.
Right. So let's pause right there for a second. Sure. So you're coming out at the same time, and now you are coming back together. So there was no opportunity for either of you to heal before you deal, right? I like to say heal before you deal. And even when you know for sure that it's a wrap, you have to come back to you and learn, who are you now? Right. Outside of this relationship, identify what the lessons were, right? Because everybody has their stuff, right? Yep. And then begin to heal that before we enter in with somebody else, bringing in our old selves and or the familiarity from our other person.
Absolutely. Now, I'll go so far as to say this, because how we connected was on the fact that I felt like I was the exception. And I will say this regarding what you just spoke about. I still thought I was the exception because, in all honesty, the book that I wanted to birth was I Learned How to Be a Wife While Divorcing My Husband, because of the extensive therapy, counseling, spiritual counseling that I dealt with during that marriage. I literally learned exactly what I was supposed to be, who I was supposed to be as a wife. I literally did the work on myself, all of it. And that's not blaming him for everything, because a marriage cannot end on the back of just one person. Correct. It just doesn't happen. It simply does not happen. Anybody who says that, it's not really the truth. Even in the cases of, and I don't want to diminish it, but even in the cases of abuse, 9 times out of 10, we can see that there was some red flags, right? And so we are both proponents of being accountable for what we saw, what we didn't see, what we heard, what we didn't hear. So I will say definitively, I really, really, in my heart of heart, as a saved woman, thought I was the absolute exception, because I did the work. I was healed. I was whole. I was whole. I was spirit filled. I was ready. I was so ready. It was just, he hasn't left yet, and I'm not leaving because I don't believe in leaving my husband. And so when my husband and I got together, I was like, I did the work. I was ready. I know what God placed in my lap. I'm ready to go. I'm here for it. We never should have split up in the first place. That was really my posture, my position. And I'm telling you and the world, I believed it. And for other women who are listening to this, I know you believe it too. Yeah. And that's the thing, you believe it too. And so,
it's a true belief, right? It's a belief system, right? And the system that we have developed ourselves on will justify untruths, right? And so here's the thing about exception. You are the exception, just not his.
Okay, wait. Yes, ma'am.
You are the exception, just not his. Because yes, you did all the work. For who? You said your husband. But you entered into something that was familiar without properly doing the due diligence that matched who you had become. See, we got history from who I was. But you entered in as you had become, and there was a mismatch. There was no alignment. There was justification. There was a settling. There was a welcoming in to something that was not even deserved.
So let me tell you the perversion there.
Yeah,
there was a perversion there.
Yeah, right. I love that. It was a perversion. That's so good.
So the perversion,
because people are chiming in, so I want to make sure.
Oh, really? Okay.
Conversation.
Okay.
Says, hey, Karen Davis says, hey, happy Thursday, peace and love. Monica is from Chicago. I love it. Come on, Chicago.
My town. I just left Chicago. I loved it.
Florida in the house. Denise.
Yes.
Because I'm here, cousin. Uh, Joyce from Stafford, Virginia. Courtney
Yes,
from
Joy.
Waldorf. She said, "Woo, the truth needs no justification."
Right.
And then Joy says, "I too thought I was the exception, and he also told me that. I ignored the red flags, including the unrest in my soul that needed space to heal after transitioning from a prior divorce, only to be divorced again. Never again. I am healing and growing up in me." Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Latrell says,
you deserve that.
Yes, you deserve.
You absolutely deserve that.
Latrell says he's from Savannah. Hey, Latrell. And then Zen says, "You are the exception, just not for him." So good. Yes, Zen, you are the exception. Yeah. And I love, Donna, what you said. You said it was perversion.
It was. Right? And let me tell you, as a saved woman, right? A woman who felt as though I had really done the work and studied being a wife, the perversion of the scripture for me, which is, sowing and reaping, I'm in my mind and wholeheartedly believed it. I sowed here, but that doesn't mean I'm going to reap here.
Come on.
So I honestly felt in my whole heart of hearts that everything that I had dealt with in my first marriage, all of the work that I put in, that was all sowing. I am entitled to the harvest of what I thought was my Boaz.
Come on.
I was entitled to that. So everything that lined up to make it so perfect for us to get back together, I was like, this is God. You cannot tell me this was not God.
Right. Listen, it will look like, smell like, and be like what is not is. And I'm saying that intentionally.
Absolutely.
That vernacular is intentional, is intentional. So I got two things that I want to disrupt, right? And so one of which is that we sow and we reap. And you mentioned the harvest. So you're thinking that this is your harvest, but you didn't even give yourself time to see what your harvest really looked like, so that when what potentially showed up to be your harvest, you would have identified, oh, that ain't it. That ain't it. The other thing is that where we sow, we don't reap all the time, because that person or that thing doesn't have the capacity to give us the harvest that's attached to the sowing.
You better preach. I know you better preach. Absolutely.
So we have to make sure that we're not stuck on where we planted seed, because it doesn't have the capacity to give you the harvest that you're entitled to from it.
Yeah.
Right? The other thing is, you mentioned that I thought this was my Boaz. And so we have to make sure that we are updating and evolving daily, because we don't want Boaz. Because Boaz died after they got married. No, you want yours to be around.
Yes, I do.
Hold this. And so we want to make sure that we are looking and that we are connecting and anchoring ourselves in things that align with who we are today, not who we was yesterday. So no, we don't want Boaz because he died right after they got married. Not after they got married, he died. So we don't want Boaz. We want who God has set aside for you for such a time as this. What is this? In its due season?
Absolutely.
And it's due season. He said, faint not. Don't get weary. You're doing good. So yes, you went to therapy. You've done all the healing. You did all the work. So don't get weary in that work, because in due season. But we now present ourselves as a God, and we want to say, oh, this is due season. And God is saying, no, daughter, and no, son. And we're talking about him, but it's equal opportunity.
Absolutely.
Right? It's equal
and
opportunity.
That was the other part of that, where I thought that I was securely planted, in that he needed my supply.
Come on.
Because he hadn't done the work as it related to the work that I did. I'll say that. I'm not going to say he didn't do any work, but he hadn't done the work that I did, that I thought substantiated my position. Right. So when he came and he was in, for lack of a better term, and I don't want to disparage him at all, for lack of a better term, a broken state. Yeah. I'm like, oh, I got this. I'm ready. I'm full. I have everything I need. So I have what I need to be able to pour into him to build him back up. And I was like, this is perfect. Because again, the perversion of understanding what a helpmeet is, you think you're a hospital.
Yeah.
I'm not a hospital to heal you. That's God's job. That is not my job. And if there's any other woman out there that's listening to this, that ain't your job either.
Yeah.
Let that go. Let God be God and be on your grind and do what you're supposed to do. But that was not my job. That was never my job. But I promise you, I thought it was. And I was doing the best I could at it.
Oh, and here is the thing is that we have been nurtured from a kid, women specifically, to nurture.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's natural for us to be a rescuer. Right. I call it saver, you know what?
Savor him.
Right. Savor him. Right. Captain Savor him. Right. And God has never called us to that, nor does the work that you've done for yourself allow that. It was never even done for that. Right. It's like you married the help. When God said, no, that's the help. That's not for you to marry, maybe help. Y'all got history, so we'll be a good friend. And I can help navigate you through some things, maybe, but not to marry.
Because and so just as a quick caveat on that too, real talk, as his ex, I didn't qualify to be his friend either while he was still married to her.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's perfect. It's a
because I know there are women who are listening who are still finding exceptions in everything that we're saying. Yeah. But that's not me because. Yeah. But my situation is a little bit different because for me, I really thought my situation was different because I wasn't in hiding. Mm-hmm. We weren't like on the sly side. Don't tell nobody this. Don't do. You know me. I live my life out loud. He was known as the Facebook husband. There was no deception. He was honest. So I thought I was honest. So I didn't think that I really did. I honestly believe we were the exception. So sis, if this is you, you're not.
And I want to
let it go. You're not.
You know, we're having the conversation about, getting into relationships mid-divorce, but it transcends into every area of our lives, right? Absolutely. We think that we are the exception on the job. We think that we are the exception in our family. We think that we are the exception in our friendships. Like, oh, I'm the one to get it done. So just come over here and I'll help you. Where, first of all, we rob them of the opportunity to help themselves, right?
That part.
And then we also rob God and tell God, I got this. So we now become a little G in the situation. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that we're not getting in the way of their personal growth and development. I love how Tamika said, save a bro. Yes. Thank you. Y'all.
That's good. That's good. I like that.
To save a bro. So one of my questions is, what drew you into the relationship thinking that you would be the exception?
Well, one, again, like I say, because of the history and the history that we had was so deep, right? And then for me, for those who don't know, I am a child of a mother who passed away when I was 4 years old, early 4. So I didn't have that. I had a father who was around, but my grandmother, for the most part, raised me. And so I always said, and this is the power of your words, right? I always said, my husband, the person I am supposed to be with, the person God designed just for me, will have known my grandmother. Mm-hmm. And my husband knew my grandmother, and my grandmother stamped him. In addition to that, my oldest aunt, the matriarch of the family, who passed away a few years ago, she also met him and stamped him as well. So again, these are all different things that added on to me being the exception. Like, I know what everybody else is doing, but that's not what we're doing. This is different.
Yeah.
It wasn't different. And the fact of the matter is, real talk, it all boils down to this. When you said in your post, no matter what, if the person is still married, it is adultery. Mm-hmm. Period. Right? If that is the case, he is not prepared. He is not equipped to cover you. Mm-hmm. Period. And if it appears as though he is, know this: a facade can only last but for so long. Time is the biggest enemy of a farce, and it will reveal itself in time.
Yeah.
So don't fall for it. He cannot cover you. That's not your umbrella. That's not it.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Absolutely. Yeah, I say it like this. First of all, if he can't sit with himself, he certainly can't cover you because he can't uncover himself, right? If you can't be still with yourself to face yourself, right? Some people say demons, but to face yourself, then you cannot cover anyone else. And so when we look at these relationships as being a husband, what is a husband? If you take a moment to define what a husband is, you will be able to identify if he's the one when he shows up, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask you guys that are here. It's a conversation. What is a husband? Let's identify that for you. Let me know. Drop that in the comments. And while they're putting that in the comments, what are some of the red flags that you overrode, that you knew they were there, but you still decided to move forward?
So again, because we are still technically in litigation, I'm trying to be extremely careful with my words.
Yeah.
But one of the things that he said to me extremely early on is, I've never been faithful. How can you trust me to be faithful? I said, because my faith isn't in you. My faith is in God. Duh. It's like, okay, he just told me, like, seriously. And so now, while that is not the genesis of our uncoupling, so to speak, that's still a distinctive, that's a proponent of it. And so it's like that was one of those things, in addition to
so believe him the first time.
If he told me. He told me.
He
told me. And so when I say things like there was honesty and there was transparency between the two of us, it was like, okay, yeah, but I'm your friend. I know what that is. And again, being the exception, I understood in my mind why he may have been unfaithful in his previous relationship. But know this,
justification.
Know this. The only side of the story that you're getting is the one that you want to believe. With the person that you've identified as your person. God ain't tell you that. Because if he or she is married to somebody else, God ain't tell you that's yours. Like, period. So I justified that. Not a good look.
Anything that needs to be justified is a lie. I want that to stick with you guys, right? That's one of the anchors that you want to have. So when things come up, you're unsure, you're in the valley of decision. If you have to justify it, it's a lie. It's out of alignment. You don't have to justify the truth. It's the truth. And the truth will stand always. Latrell said, rather than allowing God to be God, know and do as the increase. We're getting beside ourselves, wanting all the glory, praise, and honorable mention while ignoring God's word, red flags, and warnings. That's very true. And here's the thing, Latrell, is that Lurtel, I don't know why I'm adding the R after the T, Lurtel. Here's the thing, is that I truly believe that some people don't know that that's what they're doing. And that's why I wanted to have the conversation so that there is no shame, but rather awareness and awakening. Because sometimes when you see yourself in someone else, then you see yourself. And so laying this out like we're laying it out in this conversation, people can identify, I do that. Oh, I said that. Oh, I did that. And then make a conscious decision based on the information. Now, are there people that do know and they still do it? For sure. But I am here for the people that really don't. They do it. They consciously do it. But in the lens and in the understanding as we're laying it out here today, I don't think that it fully resonates with them. I truly believe that those that know better will do better for the most part. And that's what I'm after. That's why we're having the conversation, because at the beginning and the end of the day, we are brothers and sisters in Christ. And so if we can for one moment step into the shoe of the other person and not bring in competing affection of their uncoupling, let them do what they are going to do, allow him to heal before you deal, we all will be in a better place. We all will be.
That's good. That's good, Tasha. And just as a caveat to that as well, another justification is whether or not the spouse of the opposite party is also dating. That's not justification for you to do the same thing.
Correct.
So I just wanted to add that in there as well. It's simply not. And so if you find yourself doing that, know that you are doing exactly what we're talking about. You're trying to justify a lie because the truth doesn't need it.
Yeah. And, the myth of, in order to get over somebody else, you got to get under somebody else, whether that's sexual, whether you think it's a covering, it's a lie.
It's not. It's a whole lie.
You're not getting over anything. You are burying it alive. Like in my intro, it talks about burying things alive that will ultimately resurface the next time that is triggered. And so you want to heal that so that you don't repeat the same things over and over again. Monica says a covering, someone who God desires to use to change you into the image of him. And then Zen says,
come on, Monica.
Zen says a husband will cover and love his wife like Christ loved the church. He will lay down his life for his wife. I believe that Zen is responding to what is a husband. And this is so true.
Yes.
A husband is one that will cover his wife, cover and love his wife like Christ loved the church. And so we just take that one scripture and say, are you that? And not asking them, but asking them through their actions, allowing their actions to speak, because they may readily say yes. But what do your actions say? Do you cover yourself? Are you handling your business for you? Because if you can't handle your business for you, you sure can't handle it for me. Right. So how are you governing the affairs of your own life? Are you loving yourself? Are you honoring yourself? Because for someone to say, and not to, bring anything to the brother, but just to bring it to light, for someone to say, I've never been faithful, that's a trust issue within yourself. So you're self-identifying your own deficiencies, and then we have to make the appropriate decision to say, I'm not participating.
Right.
Lurtel says a husband is one that provides purpose, motivation, direction, and sacrificial love. I love that. I love that the brothers are here. I love that.
I love that too. I love to hear their input because it really is needed. And that's one of the things that is also missing in a lot of these conversations as it relates to men who find themselves in that position. There isn't another man that they've even submitted to, but two that they have the ability to converse with, to talk about some of those issues. How best should I do this? Because if your mantra is the best way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else, then I submit to you that you're really juvenile in your thinking. I mean, that's about the most immature thing. That's high school. I would expect to hear that from a 17-year-old. But if you are real talk, I mean, I hope the comment is okay.
The thing,
but if you got gray hair,
here's the thing: they are 17 in their soul,
right?
They are 13 in their soul, and so they have to grow up. That little boy, and even for us, the little girl, we have to grow them up so that they can make those sound decisions to move different. Because it is never about the other person anytime the other person checks out. It's a deficiency within them. And so anybody that has experienced that, it has absolutely nothing to do with you, but everything to do with what they are trying to work through. That's not you. That's not on you. And so what would you tell your...
glad you said that. I'm so glad you said that, because as we're talking about the wounded inner child of the male, of the husband, the wounded inner child of the female, specifically me, I'm just talking about me right now, having grown up without the love and affection of my mother because she was deceased, being able to get what I got, which was great nurturing from a grandmother, but you can only teach what you know.
Come on.
What I learned as far as being a husband was that of a senior citizen who grew up in the South during segregation. And so you know what a wife looked like in that era. And so I was exposed to something very different. You know what I mean? And so we have to wrestle with why I felt like I was so strong and I could just go ahead and do this and I can fix this and I can handle this. Whatever it is, I can handle it because I know I was called to this here position to be his wife. I can handle whatever comes and I'm not leaving. I'm standing 10 toes down. I'm going to deal with it. Whatever it is, we're going to work through it because we're not getting up out of this alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And that leads perfectly into the next question is, what would you tell that version of you now?
If the ink ain't dry, And even once the ink is dry, if there's no evidence of the work that has been done to reconcile what happened, to have healed from what has happened, and to have grown from what has happened, then that ain't you, boo.
Yeah.
And that's what I want every male and female that's on here. If you dealing with somebody who is still married, I don't care if they've been separated for 10 years. There's a reason why ain't nobody put them papers in. And I know I'm speaking in such vernacular, but I can't help it. This is just me.
Yeah.
There's a reason why that person didn't file. There's a reason why that person didn't sign. There's a reason why. You need to know what that reason is. And trust this. What he telling you, what she telling you, might not be the truth, and it definitely might not be the whole truth. You know what I mean? Because lies of omission is true. It's real.
Yeah.
And the devil loves it. The devil loves it. He is coming after marriage in a way that I don't think I've ever seen. I'm dealing with my own issues right now, but to see what is happening in the body of Christ and other people that I know who have such strong marriages, it is like this attack is serious.
Yeah.
It's serious. And you have to know what it is when you're facing it. It's a demonic spirit. That person isn't a demon. No. It is absolutely a demonic spirit.
Yes.
And so we got to fight it in the spirit. Yep.
Yeah. And so did you ask God before you entered in?
Absolutely.
And God said what?
I heard God say, yes, absolutely. This is him. He was created for you. This is absolutely what I heard, what I felt 10 toes. So much so, I'm going to let y'all into my life. I'm going to let y'all into my bedroom. All right, y'all ready? Y'all ready?
Yeah,
Real quick, right? So we reconciled. 1 year after we reconciled, we were engaged. The very next year, we were married. Let me tell you what happened in that process of, I think this even happened before we were engaged. We had already started having sex, another thing we weren't supposed to be doing. As a Christian, I knew better, right?
Yeah.
But I said, one night, I said, you know what? Listen, I know it's not over for you, and I know it's not quite over for me. And so I need to make sure that this is very clear. If there is ever 1 ounce, 1 molecular piece of you that feels like there might be a shot with the wife that you still have, know that you're free to go. I want that for you because that's how serious I am about marriage. Now, this is the woman who dealing with a married man, though, but this is what I'm telling him.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm talking about the perversion. But that is really how serious I was. And he emphatically said, absolutely not, no go, been over years, this, that, and the third. Okay, not a problem. So again, now I got my justification to continue to move on.
Yeah.
So we were the couple that was counseling other couples. We were the couples that everybody looked up to.
Yeah.
We're the couple that people are still standing in agreement whether or not we can work it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really the way that it started. And a lot of people know because, like I say, I didn't hide it, but that's what it was. And there's a harvest to that.
Yeah. So when you say that God said yes, and then now that it's dissolving, hasn't totally dissolved, but now it's dissolving, how do you reconcile that?
Woo, gosh. Okay, Apostle. Because he asked me that.
Yeah. Okay.
He asked me that. And I told him, in all honesty, I still believe in my heart of hearts that is who God designed for me. However, I can't go back. That's a no, not never, not ever. No. And it's not to say that I can't forgive because I've already forgiven. However, I am not interested in what has transpired after that because there are harvests that he and I are both dealing with now. And so there would have to be, I'm never going to say never because I know God is a God that can do exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask for. I know that in my heart of hearts, and I know that in my bones, my flesh.
Yeah.
So I will never, never, never say never. But in my heart, I also feel like that's a never. No, that's a never.
No. What are you doing now to heal?
So therapy, a lot of therapy.
Yeah.
A lot of spiritual counseling in addition to therapy. I have increased my meditation, which I shouldn't say increase. I've started meditation.
Okay.
Because that was never a part of my life before. And so I'm grateful for that word that my apostle is teaching. And also literally just trying to deal with the emotional aspect of this and making sure that I am righteously judging. People like to say, "Oh, God could judge me," this, that, and the third. Not true. Read the word.
Yeah.
I am trying to ensure, I am ensuring that I am righteously judging.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage people to do the same and to simply be fair, because uncoupling, divorcing should not necessarily bring out additional demonic spirits. I am doing my absolute level best to remain the person that God created me to be. Mm-hmm. And prayerfully, I will say this here for the first time, prayerfully, as time goes on, years goes on, I will have my friend back. Mm-hmm. My friend now. Yeah. I ain't got nothing else going on, but that was my absolute friend. And so for some people, that is what they use as justification to be with them when they're actually still married. And it's just not a good look.
So let's unpack that a bit. And so we're talking about uncoupling as it relates to marriage, but you entered in as friends. And so it's like a double betrayal. And so what does that look like?
It looks like Hades.
Mm-hmm. Break that out.
I'm so serious. It looks like Hades. It is to have known someone for so long as this, and to start seeing characteristics that are diametrically opposed to everything else. And then to find out that I was, again, I'm just talking about me, that I was in the dark about so much because I was existing in a filter. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I can't even necessarily say that was wrong, because the filter that I was living in is, I'm calling those things which be not as though they were. So even if he was acting out of character, nah, man, that's still my husband. He's this, he's that. And I'm going to continue to do, and I'm going to continue to do. And what I ended up doing was completely and totally exhausting what I had in my cup. My cup was completely empty. And what did I do? I went to find another daggone cup. Mm-hmm. And I emptied that one out too. Yeah. And then I found myself physically, emotionally, completely and totally drained. It's not good for anybody. And that is part of the harvest that I had to reap for doing what I did in the beginning, that I justified so eloquently, though. I was eloquent with my justifications. It made perfect sense to me. And it also made perfect sense to everybody that was around.
That part.
It did.
That part. Because we were all there was nobody there to disrupt that. It made sense. And so everybody went along with it because it made sense.
When I explained it and finished my justification, but I always say I can sell a can of oil. Literally, I'm just slick. Like I can sell anything to anybody. So I don't know if that's what it was.
But see, here's the thing, because I don't care what it is. If it's out of alignment, I'm telling you, period. Right. And still love you through it. Yep. But I'm going to tell you the truth. You're going to know where I stand with it. And so we have to do a self-introspect of the people that are around us.
Yeah.
And even have conversations with them, because if you got a bunch of yes people that's going to go along with you, they'll yes you right off a cliff.
Right.
And you don't need that. It said there's safety in the multitude of counsel. So who is my counselors around me? Right. Somebody should have been able to check me on that. Now, what I chose to do, because I've made some decisions too. And I've had friends say, oh, no, I'm not being a part of that. You keep that over there. And I stayed over there with that. Right. But so respect that they stood their ground to say, I'm not participating. And so when you have situations as such, because now you're on the other end empty. And while those say, not now, but in the midst of this, you're on the other end empty, and them same friends got to come help, support, fill you up, reinforce you, remind you. But there are some deficiencies even in that. And we can't have weak links everywhere. Like if I'm weak here, I need you to be strong here, so that we are always knitted together, so that we're always covered. This is going into now the covering in all relationships.
Absolutely.
Right. I did a talk on, are you a cover girl? Two ways. Are you a cover girl, just surface, Or are you covering me in prayer? Are you interceding on my behalf? Because I don't care what we can do, go out, hang out, have a good time. When the rubber meets the road, I need to know that you're going before God on my behalf and that you can make some things happen. And so I think it's such a misnomer. It's so disheartening that we have been taught in marriage to just stick it out at the sacrifice of what? Of my own soul? No. And to be said, oh, if they're not beating on you, then stay. No, because mental is worse than even physical. And so we have to make sure that we are aligning with the word. And so while we're quoting scriptures to stay, but we're not quoting scriptures to be kept, there's a disconnect. I'm gonna say that one more time. If we're quoting scriptures to stay, but we're not quoting scriptures to be kept, there's a disconnect, because we're doing everything to hold on to them while we're falling apart. That is not the will of God. That is not the will of God, brother and sister. It is not the will of God for you to be the sacrificial lamb. And I know that some of y'all may have been taught otherwise. I don't agree, and I'm not participating. There is one thing for us to work on this together. There's one thing for me to intercede, but there's another thing to be abused and used. No, we're not doing that.
And that abuse is not how you mentioned mental abuse. There's also not just mental, but it's also like emotional abuse. Emotional abuse it's a little bit different, and I'm not qualified to go into all of the different nuances of it, but just know, if the vast majority of the conversations that you're having with someone else's spouse, because that's who we're talking about, right?
The
vast majority of the conversations that you're having with someone else's spouse, you find that it is manipulative, or all it is puffery. You know what I mean? There's an underlying thing in there that's trying to get you to go along with it, and it should speak to your spirit. There should be something that kind of tugs at you to say this. And again, going back to me, if I'm being honest, when I said that to him and said, if there's ever a time where you want to go, that was me knowing that I should not have been there anyway. But I couldn't see that that's what it was in that moment. I really couldn't. And I can really only talk about me. What I want to do in this space, and I'm so grateful that you created this space, is for people to be able to really, really not just self-assess, but also learn how to be quiet. Meditate, quiet your mind, so that way you can hear clearly what it is you're supposed to do and what it is. Because now, even though I feel like God told me that was my husband, it could have been, but not at that time. Because if that's my husband, why I got to do this now while he's still married to somebody else?
That part.
And that's the question for everybody else who finds themselves in that situation. If that's your person and you're with that person and they are still married to somebody else, LIG it. Let it go. If that's what it's meant to be, then it'll do what it's supposed to do. Y'all will get back. If that's what it is. And then even if you did, you still got to question why it even started the way that it started.
And do you want to sow how? Do you want to reap how you've sown? Right? That's one of the questions that in anything with me, I always ask myself, do I want to reap that before I do anything? If I don't want to reap it, I'm not sowing it. And it can be something as simple as me being in the grocery store and they forget to ring something up. Oh, I don't want to sow that. It ain't worth it. The harvest isn't worth reaping. And that's why going back to what you said about somebody else's husband. When you ask God, is this your husband? And you believe that God said, yes, this is your husband. There is one thing to seek God, and then there's another thing to surrender for the answer. The first thing that comes up typically is ourselves, especially when you can link it back to justification. Because God will never say, this is your husband and he's somebody else's husband. Where they do that at? Right? And we have to be honest with ourselves. no matter what we want, to say, girl.
So can I tell you what I realized that was?
Yeah.
That was me telling God what I wanted him to say to me. So that's what I heard.
Amen. Come on.
Now,
yeah.
And so what I can say now, even in this space, after, you know, that divorce was final, he and I married, we're years in, I'm still hearing that is my husband. But now it's not coming from a place of that's just what I want to hear. That's what I'm in. That's what I'm doing. And I am doing it God's way. I am doing all of this God's way. Even in the course of this separation, divorce, I am doing that God's way. There's a harvest that comes from that as well.
Yeah.
So if you
go ahead.
No, that's it. It's just, you know, it's really, really hard to hear what God is telling you if you telling him what you want him to say. You can't hear it. You're literally perverting his words.
Yeah. And that's where the space and time is necessary for healing, because what is familiar is the strongest. And that's what's going to constantly show up, right? And so in that, you saying, okay, God is still saying, this is my husband. And then what for you? For God? Like if he's saying this is still your husband, then what?
Again, I would say, I know it's not right now. Absolutely not.
What is God saying?
God is telling me I need to heal.
Okay.
This is what I am getting. I need to heal. And I literally need to do an autopsy, a triage, and figure out why this thing transpired the way that it did. What shortcuts did I take? What things did I overlook? Why did I respond?
Are y'all taking notes? Because these are notes. This is a master class. What she's saying that God told her to do, you can actually ask yourself those questions too. So we're not just having a conversation to be having a conversation, but also to bring revelation for you so that you don't have to go through this yourself.
Yeah.
So that's so good. That's a real thing.
Yeah. And so like my other thing is this, right? While I don't have any biological children of my own, I look at if I did in whatever situation you're faced with, would that be the advice that you would give your daughter or your son? Would you advise them to do that? Would you advise them to do this, to get involved in this, to stay here? Would you advise them to pause? As Apostle just said, you know, you gotta know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. You know what I mean? What are you gonna do?
Because we can give everybody else the best advice. So if you would stop, like you just said, stop and say, would I tell my son or daughter this? Whatever that answer is, because it's typically going to be no, then it's a no for you as well. So sometimes you got to come outside of yourself and see it through another lens. Lurtel said it was already dead before it began. I want you to unpack that a little bit, Lurtel. I love that right on the surface. But unpack that. It was already dead before it began, coming from a man perspective. I love that. Diana said, don't sow it if you don't want to reap it. Joy says, absolutely. Diana says, stand in your truth. Joy says, dismantle that belief system. I love that. It is a belief system. It's a belief system. And so if we need to, here's the thing about belief systems. Belief systems work as long as they work, but they too expired. So what worked in the previous season is no longer working, ing, present tense, in the current season. So we have to bring our belief systems to the forefront and say, what's still working? Because we can be so heavy in what we believe and be doing the wrong thing. One of the things that I always petition God with is, God, what are you saying today?
Right.
What are you saying today? Because I know this worked for me in the past and I have held on to that thing strong. But is this still working? Was it just for that season? And in that response is how I proceed. So if we begin to ask ourselves these questions, to include God in, to seek first and surrender, wait until we have the answer. Don't become familiar and answer it ourselves. then that will get us much further along without the trauma, without the added healing, because we're healing from so many things from our childhood. We don't need to keep adding to it, right? And so starting with that seek and surrender, to become unfamiliar with familiar, to get outside of ourselves and have the have the answer that we would give somebody else for ourselves, we'd be in a much better place. Much better. I love this conversation, and we could go on and on and on and on, but we not. What's some advice that you want to give people? So we're talking about relationships, and so I love, how what we work through and heal from in one thing can transcend into multiple things. So what's some advice that you would give to those listening, and then how they can apply that to other areas of their lives?
Jesus, I'm so glad you asked that question. And that's nothing but Holy Spirit, because I was sitting here thinking, like, what is the last thing that I want to leave the viewers and the people who are participating? And I would say this: in the middle of divorcing, know this: the exes are going to circle the block. That's what they do. They are going to spin the block. You are still in that exact same position. Again, you are still somebody's husband. You are still somebody's wife. Don't get involved with nobody. Not them exes that's familiar. No matter how much you feel like you need that boost to your ego because you feel some type of way because your marriage is failing, this, that, and the third, that's not where that confidence is going to come from. And so if you're excited to hear from these exes that are circling the block and these new people, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to go outside. Ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Are you really trying to heal what hasn't been healed yet? So clearly you're not ready to go outside. And I promise you, I'm talking to myself. I am talking to myself, and I'm talking to y'all. That's not where your answer is. So I am saying, do the work, heal, build yourself up, do what you need to do. And I promise, when you come outside, that glow up is going to attract exactly who's supposed to be attracted to you. And even then, it's an interview. Interview these cats, ask the daggone questions, and do your thing. But it's an interview process, and you have the right to say no. You're the author of your own freaking story. Don't let these players come up in there and just write their own part in your story. You the way you're supposed to do it. God is the author and finisher of our faith. You go ahead, you write your story according to the word. And I promise you, it's going to be up from here, because it's going to be up from here for me.
Yeah.
That's my declaration to me and to you. I pray that for you.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, the Bible says that we go from glory to glory, or faith to faith. And so if we're not doing that in every area of our lives, it's an opportunity that may be presented as opposition. It's an opportunity to increase, to evolve, and to elevate, because we can. God said that he had a plan of prosperity for our lives. And so we have to make sure that we are always aligned with his plan of prosperity. Because yes, God will never leave you nor forsake you. He'll be with you until the end, but he'll be with you even in your mess.
That part.
Even in your mess, he'll be with you, but the plan can't continue in mess. And so once you're done with the plan, then his plan of prosperity will continue. So we want to make sure that we're always aligned, that we're not justifying, because justifying is a lie. Yeah. It's a lie.
And the truth don't need it.
Yeah.
The truth don't need it.
Yeah, it's not healthy for you or anyone else, literally. And we also have to be mindful of those that are watching, right? Because people will do things because we do. And so we have to be mindful that our decisions are not just for us.
Right.
And that's blessings or curses. They are not just for us. So we need to make sure that they are properly aligned, so that people have a proper blueprint to follow, because people are always watching. Whether you know it or not, they are always watching. And most important, God is watching.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in. I have enjoyed our time together. Where can they follow you, Donna?
Oh, you can follow me on social media at Hizzrib, Hizzrib, or the Esplanade Collection. I'm just going to do this so y'all can get the spelling. ESPLANADE.
I love it.
And you can find me on all of the socials as well as my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Datasha. And I pray that somebody was blessed and learned something from this. If you have any questions for me after this, feel free to hit me up online.
Absolutely. Yeah, they were definitely blessed. And for me, guys, you know where to find me: Facebook, Instagram. You can also go to www.disruptdeadends.com, and we will see you soon. God's peace.